For rectal operations, there are high chances for nerve impairments. Problems with bladder emptying, anal incontinence, or sexual dysfunctions can be expected. The specified rates vary between different studies, but nevertheless, a complication rate of up to 70% has been reported. Not every patient is suitable for the application of pIOM. The technology can be used during operations close to the plexus hypogastricus inferior or to the nervi pelvici splanchnici. Furthermore, nerves can only be monitored when they are functioning. The preoperative function of the bladder, the continence function, and the sexual function should be retrieved. A questionnaire about the status is recommended. The anesthesiologist has to be informed about all important details before the start of the operation. For artifact-free recording of the internal anal sphincter, continuous relaxation of the skeletal muscle is mandatory. Total intravenous anesthesia is especially recommended. Since the bladder has to be filled for measurements, the amount of liquid might be replenished by sodium chloride. Additionally, the extra fluid can alternate the temperature within the bladder. The first step in the software is to insert the data regarding the operation and the patient. It is mandatory to either insert the patient ID or the last name, which can be done easily by using the integrated LED scanner. Next, the type of electrode has to be chosen. Connect the adapter box to the device. There is only one way to connect the adapter box to the C2 Explorer. The sign on the screen turns green. The step cone adapter is plugged into the catheter and the other ending is connected to the pressure sensor at the red cap side. The white cap side of the sensor is connected to the free inlet of the three-way valve. The valve should link the catheter and the urine bag, which means it has to be turned by 180 degrees. Finally, the urine bag is attached to the funnel on the three-way valve. Now, the catheter set is ready to be placed on the patient. The OR table rails offer an excellent mounting for the set to prevent the tubes from being squeezed or bruised. It is important that the three-way valve is accessible during the whole operation. Once the catheter set has been set up and fixed, the tubes have to be deaerated. For this, the provided syringes have to be filled with sodium chloride solution. The three-way valve is turned in order to link the syringe to the urine bag while closing the catheter direction. The syringe is connected to the system and the valve is opened. The hose has to be filled now in order to remove all the air, since air would distort the measurement. Afterwards, the three-way valve can be turned again to link the bladder to the urine bag in order to ensure urine flow during the operation. The syringe valve can now be closed again. The pressure sensor connection cable is now connected to the adapter box. A confirmed connection is indicated by a green sign on the screen. Continue to the next window by pressing the right rotary knob. Now the electrodes can be inserted into the tissue, either by inserting 2 needle electrodes for 2 separate measurements into the external and internal anal sphincter, or by inserting 1 rectal electrode for a surface measurement of the activity of both muscles. A digital differentiation between the external and the internal anal sphincter is possible. Alternatively, an ultrasonic guidance can be used. Once the internal anal sphincter has been found, the first bipolar needle electrode can be inserted. After successful placement of the electrode, it has to be fixed adequately in order to prevent dislocation. Subsequently, the electrode can be connected to the adapter box. The second bipolar needle electrode is inserted into the external anal sphincter. The green ground electrode is inserted into the gluteal tissue beside. The rectal electrode is inserted into the anal canal and fixed by using either tape or a suture. The green electrode can be inserted into the gluteal tissue. All parts should be attached to the patient's body in order to not slip out accidentally during the operation. Subsequently, the electrodes can be connected to the adapter box. Once the electrodes have been inserted into the tissue and connected to the adapter box, a green tick appears on the screen, and you can continue to the next window. Now, the measurement window is shown. At the top, you can see the stimulation current, which can be easily adjusted by touching the screen. In addition, the signal of the internal anal sphincter and the bladder pressure are displayed. pIOM can be used for various operations, including all operations taking place in the small pelvis, close to the plexus hypogastricus inferior and the nervi pelvici splanchnici. It does not matter whether the operation is performed openly, laparoscopically, robotically, or transanally. When potentially endangered areas are reached, the actual pIOM can be primed in order to identify nerve tissue. The bladder has to be filled in order to monitor its pressure. For this, the 3-way valve has to be turned to block the urine bag. The bladder has to be filled with 200 milliliters of sodium chloride solution. Before performing any measurements and after making any changes regarding the patient, such as a different position on the OR table, an initialization has to take place. For this, the initialization button of the C2 has to be pressed, and the thresholds for the internal anal sphincter and bladder pressure will be set automatically. Once the stimulation probe has been positioned close to the operation site, the electric stimulation can be started. As soon as the probe touches the tissue, the current flow starts. Once an EMG or bladder pressure answer is detected, the recording starts automatically. The green current confirmation bar appears, and the current confirmation sound is displayed. A stimulation of 5 seconds is mandatory for sufficient reaction of the smooth muscles. When approaching the nerves, the stimulation probe can trigger a signal. A chance for a signal is shown by a yellow highlighting of the IAS bar pilot. A reliable signal is indicated by a green highlighting of the bar plot and the corresponding sound. The stimulation of the bladder is also indicated by a green highlighting of the bar plot and another specific acoustic signal. If the bladder and the IAS are stimulated, the two respective bar plots are illuminated in green, and an acoustic signal, which is a combination of the preceding signals, is played. After successful and sufficient mapping, the operation can be continued. For this, the bladder is emptied. The solution in the bladder is removed by connecting the syringe and filling it. The last step is to turn the three-way valve back. Studies show a better functional outcome with pIOM. The rates of newly developed urologic dysfunction, anal incontinence, and newly developed sexual dysfunction were significantly reduced.